Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public information meeting for the state project number 0403-0017, Stamford CTtransit Bus Garage. Before we get started, I'm going to go over some Zoom settings for meeting attendees. Options available for those joining us through Zoom is the option to view post caption subtitles, including non-English translation. To turn on this feature in Zoom, select the Show Captions button or the CC button at the bottom of your screen. Then select the Speaking Language button and finally select your desired language. Additionally, you can view this presentation in YouTube, and post captioning is available there as well after the presentation. There will be a question and answer session, and there are a few ways to communicate with the project team during the session. Please note, during presentation, participants will be muted. After the meeting, you may email your questions to charles.wiegert@ct.gov, or you may leave a voicemail by calling 860-594-3238. Please make sure to reference the project number and leave your phone number with your inquiries. The Zoom Q&A chat option is only available today, and we will go over in the next slide. The public comment period runs through May 28. The project website is shown on the screen, which includes the general project information and how to get in contact with the department with any questions or comments you may have after the conclusion of the meeting. This slide will be shown at the end of the presentation for reference. To use the Q&A function, select the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. A new screen will open, and you can type your question in the text box. Click Enter. This will be monitored by the project team, and any questions, comments will be answered after the presentation. If you are an audio-only participant, dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. Your civil rights under Title VI states, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or nation of origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in development of this project. The department has established a voluntary post-meeting survey to solicit feedback on today's meeting. It is optional, but we do request you to fill it out, and you can access it with the QR code on the screen. Links to both the survey and civil rights information will be added to the chat box. A recording of this presentation will be posted to the website and on YouTube within few days following to this meeting. To reiterate, Title VI notice to the public is shown here. We're going to pause for a moment to allow the participants to read the contents. This information can also be found on DOT's website. This slide contains Spanish translation of the Title VI notice to the public. We're going to pause again for a moment and allow the Spanish as first language participants to read translated contents. With that, I would like to introduce the project team. Representing the department is myself, Parvez Rahman, the project engineer, Charles Wiegert, the project manager, and Adam Fox, the principal engineer of Facilities Design Unit. H&TB Corporation is the prime consultant designer of the bus garage. Now I will turn it over to project manager Charles Wiegert to speak about the project details.
Unmute. There we go. After all these years, you still got to remember to unmute. Thank you, Paresh. As you said, Charles Wiegert, project manager in Connecticut DOT Facilities Design. This is my contact information. May look familiar. I'm also the main point of contact for any questions or comments that you may want to send to. It's not going to the next slide there, Pravesh. So can you just all right. For a little background, the CTtransit Stamford campus has three primary functions for the bus company. Administrative offices, right in the middle of the screen. The existing bus storage area right in the middle of the screen next to the connected CTC admin, and then the maintenance of approximately 55 buses that go through that site. You can also see that there is two guard booths at each of the entrances to the property on what we call the Myrtle Ave entrance, which is to the right, and the Elm Court entrance to the left. And this project will expand the bus storage by 11 buses. It's not going to increase the buses. It will only be storing more buses inside that are presently kept outside. So you can see on the left of the screen there, the highlighted in red is where we are proposing the new 11 bus storage garage. I want to emphasize again that this is not more buses being located on the site. It is just putting a roof over and walls around the buses that are parked there today. On the right side of the screen, highlighted in red, you will see construction laydown area. This is a small portion of the property that the contractor can use to store building materials temporarily that is out of the way for the bus operations and the construction. So a little bit of a step backwards, why we're here and why we want to do this. The purpose of this project is to prepare for the bus fleet to transition to fully electric buses. The state legislatures have mandated the entire state's bus transit fleet be 30% electric before the year 2030. The fleet will then transition to fully electric after that, as the diesel buses are retired from service. As the diesel-powered buses of today reach their scheduled end of life, they are being replaced with battery electric buses, and this new fleet has different requirements. Obviously, in the future, there will be no need for on-site diesel storage in large quantities, but these battery electric buses must be kept indoors so that they can be kept within a certain temperature range. Now some of the project highlights. There will be 11 buses stored in the building. In order to maximize the space, there will be a mezzanine or kind of like a catwalk in the back of the building to store all of the charging equipment and the electrical infrastructure for the charging. There'll be a better picture of that on the next slide. The building is designed to hold a large solar array on the roof. That will be getting installed at a later date after the building is complete as a separate future project. The fence around the entire site is falling, broken, or in poor condition presently. So it will be getting replaced with a new chain link fence comparable to what is there today. The two existing guard booths will be getting replaced with new units in the same locations, and there will be some additional security upgrades on the site as far as that. The way the property is accessed today is two-way traffic along Elm Court. Elm Court is very narrow, so the new primary entrance to the site will be through the Myrtle Avenue driveway, as I pointed out before. It's right next to the I-95 overpass. And then instead of two-way traffic for accessing on Elm Court, it would just be leaving through Elm Court. Finally, after all the construction is done, almost the entire site will be repaved with new asphalt. So now for a little bit more about the building itself. As I mentioned, the top picture gives you a better idea of what the mezzanine will look like inside the building. The lower picture shows each of the buses as they will fit in the building. You can also see in the lower picture how the buses get charged. They get charged from a device that drops down from the ceiling called a pantograph. This is the safest and most efficient way to charge the batteries on the buses. One of the main reasons for requiring this indoor storage is that when the buses are not in use, they must be kept at a certain temperature range. Another large component of charging battery electric buses indoors is the fire implication. This building requires a robust fire protection system that will monitor and protect the building in the unlikely event that there is an issue inside the building. Now, to talk briefly about the guard booths. The top two pictures show you the two guard booths as they are today. The two bottom pictures show you potentially what the future booths may look like. The new guard booths will be slightly larger, as you can tell from the pictures. This is to accommodate bathroom facilities inside the guard booths. Some of the impacts of the project. There is no need for Eversource or any other utility companies to do any work offsite to accommodate the project. All of the work will be happening within the limits of our property. So we say that there's no right-of-way impact, and what that means to normal people who aren't in our industry, that means we can do everything from our property without having to impact any of the neighbors by physically entering onto their property to do stuff. Sometimes to do construction, we need to get permission from the abutting property owners to go onto their property to do stuff such as replace the fence along the perimeter of the project. But everything is getting done from within our limits, so there's no right-of-way impact. And throughout the design, we have been coordinating and communicating with the city of Stamford, so they're aware of the project as well. And this will do a quick little schedule and cost. We're looking to complete the design this month, shortly after the question period is closed for public input. We expect construction to start later this year, as soon as this fall. It is possible the contractor does not start construction until after this winter, depending on when they get on board and what works best for their schedule. But we are still expecting them to be able to start in the fall. Now, you might see construction going on sooner than that, and you might even see it today because there are other construction projects ongoing on the site that are also tied to switching the existing building, upgrading that to handle bus electrification. So there is other projects going on the site, but it's not this project itself. This will not be starting until the fall, like I said, at the earliest. We think it'll take about 2 years for full construction, so it would be wrapped up by the end of the 2026 construction season. We're expecting it to cost around $14.5 million, and it will be funded through a grant from the Federal Transit Administration for 80% of the construction costs. And that's it. And we, this is again all my contact information for any questions or comments. May 28th will be the deadline to get anything in. We look forward to getting back to anybody if anybody needs any more information.
That concludes the presentation portion of tonight's program. Now we will transition to question and answer session of the program. You may enter your questions now in Zoom Q&A chat. As explained earlier, after the meeting, you may email your questions to charles.wiegert@ct.gov, or you may leave a voicemail by calling 860-594-3238. Please make sure to reference the project number and leave your phone number with your inquiries.